In a world where we're often too quick to judge on appearances, focus on ourselves, or find ourselves in a rush, this show is a reminder to slow down. Taste Exchange is a project that goes beyond the meals and happy hours and connects with the thoughtful human creators behind each experience. Lo and I will sit down and try and uncover what it is that connects all of us to the story of a life. Each of us is distinctly unique, yet we are all very connected. This is Taste Exchange. Welcome to our show.
Tché Carter is Brooklyn born and raised and has an enthusiasm for life that's contagious. She's currently the sous chef at Charlotte hotspot Leah Louise under the tutelage of Chef Greg Collier. Cooking wasn't Tché's childhood dream, though. She took a detour from her original college plan after a recommendation to try culinary school from her cousin. She quickly discovered her passion and enthusiasm in the kitchen and hasn't looked back since. Tché has been able to have some incredible cooking experiences, including stops in New York City, Disney World, Madrid, Greenville, and now Charlotte. She's one of the most creative, curious, and talented individuals we've met. Her desire to learn and create is a joy to experience. We know you'll enjoy this conversation as much as we did. Being here.
I appreciate you guys having me.
We're so excited to sit down with you. We've heard about you and we've heard of the legend. And so it's good to meet you and to have people hear your story.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man, to have people that know who I am. I always think that I'm some unknown mystical being in the back just doing what I do.
Well,
and then when people know who I am, it's like, whoa, really? Oh, snap, hi.
You're a mystical being for sure. But yeah, you're somebody, you know? Like
right.
you've got a name around town in a good way.
Chef got in contact with me through Justin, actually. And he was interested in me being his sous chef. So I was like, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, let me check this out. And I staged for him. I did a tasting, and a couple of weeks after that, he was like, I'd love to have you as my sous chef. And it was one of those moments, just woke up, it's like, yes, I could go and sleep and take a little nap and then wake up and get my day started. It was great. But I originally met Chef Greg in 2017. Justin again invited me to a Soul Food Sessions dinner to help him out, and then at the end of the dinner we got to sit down. I met Chef and the whole Soul Food Sessions crew, and it was pretty dope. But I didn't know that Chef remembered me until I came back. He was like, nah, I remember you.
That's so cool.
Right?
What's one of your favorite things about working here?
I love how chill it is, but at the same time, the level of expectation that we have, the high standards that we hold here. Because I feel like I'm very cool and casual, but at the same time, I hold everything to a high standard. So to be in a place where people have that or see that same vision and we're all like-minded in that way, it's pretty relieving to be in a place like that.
Yeah, it's like your timing is very much in sync with the sense of the energy is very chill and cooperative, and let's do things at this level of excellence.
Exactly. Move with urgency and on cue, but at the same time have fun and laugh and enjoy your job. Because if you don't enjoy it, then why do it?
Right.
It brings too much stress.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny too, because if you have too much of one of those things, right? If you're like, everything has to be perfect and everyone's like, like freaking out, right? That's completely different. And then on the other hand, if you're like, yeah, everything's okay, it's like, right. And then, and so I think it's really magical, like this balance that you guys have with each other and just the vibe in here. Like I've just been smiling all morning, you know, like y'all have an awesome vibe.
That's cool. Yeah, we work hard to curate this energy with the influence from Chef Greg. We sage every week. Chef sages every week to cleanse the space, and we all come in here and put our best energies into it. And if, you know, we're a family, really, like if somebody's having a hard time, we're always there. Like, do you want to talk about it? Do you not? Do you want to hug? Do you not? Like, let's help get through it. We don't want to just lonely island you.
Right. That's important. I mean, because we're all human beings at the end of the day, and you can't just separate that stuff, you know, out of you. And Justin was talking earlier, like your emotions go into the food of what you're doing.
Yes, they do. When I've gone to places, not even here in Charlotte, but I've gone to places and eaten food, I'm like, yeah, this is great. Go back again. And I was like, okay, this is okay. And then go back again, it's like, I don't know if he's in a bad mood today or if something's wrong or if it's a new cook, but you can always taste it. It all is transparent in what comes out of that window or what comes off this bar.
How did you start to get into cooking, or what piqued your interest about cooking?
So, funny story. I went to school to be a vet tech, and that did not work. I went for a year and a half, ended up being on, academic probation or whatever, and I took a semester off, just trying to get my mind and my life straight. And my cousin, she is a guidance counselor and a soror. She's very networked. She's like, do you want to go to school to learn how to cook? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm not doing anything. So my first semester, I went to a trade school in New York called Co-op Tech, School of Cooperative Technical Education. So I went there, and my first semester was kind of boring, really. Like, we did cookies for like a month, and then it got hot and we made soup, and I was like, this is lame. But it wasn't until I would see Chef Cerna, who's the other chef, the advanced cooking class. He would always walk around with his class, and they all had on chef whites, and he always like had this aura about him, like you could feel his presence when he walked into a room. And one day I used to get to school early, so I was at the security guard's desk, and he walked up and he was like, oh, this is Tchnavia, whatever, she's gonna be in your class next year. And he was like, oh, that's cool, what are you doing in the other class? I was like, oh, we're making cookies. He was like, well, what type of cookies? And I was like, you know, chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin. And he was like, no. That's what flavor of cookie. I said, what type of cookie? And I was like, huh? He was like, ice pop cookie, drop cookies, blah. And I was like, oh yeah, I have no idea. So I was really like, I'm going to this class next year to check it out.
Right.
What can I learn? How far can I go?
Yeah, what a total mind blown moment when you're like, there's clearly something I'm missing here.
Like something I don't know. So when I did get to his class, after a while we had a class competition where we made oatmeal raisin cookies, and I don't really like raisins, so I didn't put the raisins in it. But after he tried my cookies, he put me into the competition, the CCAP competition, Careers Through Culinary Arts program out of New York. And it's a nonprofit organization that helps inner city students get into the industry. So he put me in the competition there and trained me up, and I got into CCAP, and they have all sorts of programs, job training, scholarship programs, and I kind of it's been given to me over the years.
Yeah, well, probably earned.
Yeah, but I feel like it's all been little gems along the way. Like, I was still kind of on edge about whether or not I could do this or should do this, because there are people in my class who've been wanting to be a chef since they were little, and I was like, I'm kind of here, so I didn't really know how to feel about it. Like, I didn't know if I deserved it because they wanted it for so long, and me just kind of coming in, like, is it really for me? Am I just doing it? Am I taking up room? Am I taking somebody's spot? So the more I've done it, and it just came natural, most of it, there's of course a lot of mistakes made and a lot of things that I had to learn, but the fluidity of it came naturally. And then I got the scholarship. I got a full tuition scholarship for Institute of Culinary Education in New York, and then from there ended up in Disney World for my internship, and everything just kind of flowed like that. And it was just like, oh, opportunity after opportunity that's along the line led me here.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that you said, I didn't know if I deserved it. But it's like, if you're curious about something, it doesn't matter, you know, and it feels right. It doesn't matter if you've wanted it for 5 minutes or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, pursue that. And there was obviously something that you were gifted at, because those, and a purpose, right? Because things would not have kept presenting themselves for you in order to follow that path.
Exactly. I know. I have to remind myself that often, you know, because you get caught up in your head in the day-to-day task, and you're like, you start to question. So you have to really sit down and remind yourself sometimes, like, you know, this isn't by chance. Like, and I've worked hard to get here, and I've taken the opportunities that I've been given and used those to the best of my advantage. So it's a lot of mental work that has to be done.
Always. We're always, right? We're always working through that. But you have, absolutely. And just how we came to know about you, you know, your work ethic and everything you put into it. She's downplaying this, okay? Like, you really do. I know you take things to another level.
I think it's important, but it's also important not to get caught up in reflecting and being able to move on to the next thing and not get stuck back there.
Right. Well, yeah, there's a difference between reflecting in order to learn and process and obsessing or having anxiety about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay, I'm learning in this moment versus staying in the moment.
Right, right. I know I study leaders, because one thing to me to manage, and another thing to be a leader and a mentor and influencer. So learning how to guide and rally the troops and encourage them and have everybody on the same page and boost morale is something that I find important to me, and learning how to do. Expressing myself through words has been a challenge. If I want something done and someone doesn't do it right, I would naturally just go and do it. But now I have to learn. I'm learning how to use my words and express myself and give details about what it is that I'm looking for to help it translate. I was born, bred, and raised in Flatbush, Brooklyn. I left when I was 22 and a half, and I went to Greenville, South Carolina. Yeah, you know, the half counts.
These measurements are important.
And I went to Greenville. Prior to that, how old was I? I think I was like 21. And I went to Disney for about a year. I had my internship there from culinary school. When I came back, I worked in New York for a little bit, and then I left. And then when I left, my mother was like, don't come back. Just, you know, go travel, go see the world, go to Charlotte if you need to. But don't come back to New York because New York will always be here. Yeah. So
why Charlotte? Do you have a tie here?
My aunt and my sister moved here a couple of years before I left. So when I went to Greenville's not too far from here, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So my mother was like, come here or go to Atlanta with my other sister, but you know, don't come back to New York because it's the same old and you get caught up and it's a lot. I go to New York to visit.
Yeah, it's so beautiful that your mom did that for you. Kind of, not that you needed permission, but she kind of encouraged, like, go spread your wings and like, you can always come back here.
Yeah.
There's more to learn out there.
Yeah, there's way more to see because, you know, people stay home and in their comfort zone and they never get to see outside of, some people never even leave the block. Like, they stay in that perimeter and that's all they know. So when you are able to leave that and experience something else, experience other cultures and other cities and towns, and you really get to evolve within yourself, seeing that. Like, I spent 3 months in Spain on a scholarship, and it just opened me up to a world of possibilities.
Wow.
While I was there, I felt like I was in a cocoon because I didn't really communicate with anybody. I kind of just went to work, hung out with the people at work. It wasn't until I left and I reflected on it and realized that nobody really hung out while they were there. Like, they went and did the touristy things, but they didn't really like become a local to immerse themselves in the culture. So experiencing that and leaving New York and being able to immerse is like emulsify a sauce. Not that, that's not what I meant, I'm sorry. To immerse into different cultures and lifestyles.
It's kind of the same.
It kind of is.
It actually is
I like that word better now.
Yeah.
I immersed in other cultures.
I like it. I like it.
This? And I don't know, I'm just Shay. I'm just here. Hi.
This is the Shay and Lo Show. No, I love that. I love that perspective and really diving into and emulsifying into, because it's very different than like, emulsifying an ingredient or like ingredients together is very different than like, I'm just gonna put this thing here and it's gonna sit in it, you know, and kind of exist separately. It's very different.
We're sitting here at L&L and we're sitting here having a chat. We're gonna be right here and okay, now we're back.
Hey! That was best moment ever. But the curiosity, I mean, I think kids are so great at that, of just like, what's this? What's this? What's, you know? And it's like, man, like, it's how can we bring that into our lives and remind ourselves, okay, this doesn't all need to be so serious.
Right.
How can we have this kind of childlike
Exactly.
play mentality?
Yeah, using your imagination. And what was it, Peter Pan? Hook, when he grew up and he lost his imagination and they had to, the Lost Boys had to help him get it back.
Yeah.
So how do you keep that essence of innocence and imagination to help you see the world differently? Because when you lose it, it's kind of like stoic and just black and white and gray and boring. And you work and then you go home and then you die.
And then you die.
Sorry,
and that is your sad life. It is a little bit true though. I mean, some people live 75, or 85, whatever, very different years, you know, and they're growing. And some people live the same year 85 times.
Right.
God, that's terrifying.
Right? Which year is that?
Right. And I think it's cool the way that you've grown in your career. And I'm curious how you've used your imagination in your cooking and in your food.
I feel I am the sum of everywhere that I've been and the things that I've done. So recreating that in food and cuisine and even how I work in the kitchen. I don't know, I feel like it's all an expression of self. Like, it's a dance. It's all a performance. Like, my training chef, Chef Cerna, was like, when you go in a competition, it's a performance. Everybody's gonna look at you. When you put your gloves on, just make them snap. And you're just like, okay, like, that's cool. I could do that. So, being, I don't even know how to say, you can't be the best at everything. But to showcase your best skills in everything that you do is what I strive to do. So even, they always like, Shay always come in here dressed nice. And I'm like, I just put on clothes, guys. But when I think about it, like, you know, I do try to dress clean and have I like to have my shirts and my socks match or whatever. A cool hat on, and then when you come in, I put my apron on a certain way, I fold my towels a certain way, I set up my station a certain way, seasoning a certain way, even how I sprinkle the salt, you know, it's all a dance, it's all a movement, and that is an expression in the food itself, I feel, as well.
100%. I mean, all of this is energy, right? And it's all going into the food and what we do and how we carry ourselves. And I love you. I love your expression of you. And I think what was also coming up for me as you were talking was you're the best version of you, right? Like, I guess the question for everyone is, are you presenting the best version of yourself? Because the better you are at that, which is a skill.
Takes practice for sure.
Right. And it's being curious and creative with yourself. But I think the better you are at being you, that's your superpower. You know, that's what comes through as this like, man, like, well, no one can imitate you. You know, people can try to imitate, but it's never gonna be as good as you being you.
Right. And it takes it has taken a lot of soul searching and continuous like diving into myself and fleshing it out, you know, because through society kind of masks you and try to conforms and makes you form into whatever they think that you should be, and you got to take all of that as well as going back into yourself and figuring out what works for you, who you are, what you like, what you don't like, how you think, how other people think and influence you, things from childhood that might resurface in your later years, and breaking through those barriers and finding your way. Like, I really love working with doughs, but I don't really practice as much as I would like. I know I love pasta doughs and figuring out different shapes and sizes. But I love sauce work and building layers in sauces. I think here, I like making salad dressings here because we get to do kind of whatever we want, and it's about balancing it out, having the vinegar and the sweet and the salty and maybe a little bit of heat and herbs and balancing it all into a sauce. What else do I love? I like plating and catching those visual cues on a plate. And knife work is something that I've really practiced since I started in the industry. Like, since I started going to school, that was one of my favorite things to do. Is like, oh, I'm gonna come in early and cut some potatoes. Why? I'm gonna just do it. Like, whatever. But I think just working with the food in general, learning about new products and new produce that come in, or a new technique, is something that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Coming here and learning that you can utilize everything, unless it's like bad, but you can utilize everything, anything. You can figure out a way to do something with it, whether it be drying it out, pickling it, making some sauce, a garnish, or whatever. So yeah.
I love that you said dressings. Like, dressings. That's so cool.
So, funny story. My mother called me the other day and was like, so, I heard you make really good salad dressing, so I want to...
I heard.
Like, I was like, oh, really? She was like, I want you... so what kind of salad dressing could I make? I was like, well, I don't know, what do you have? I was like, well, you could take... And I just gave her, like, you put some vinegar in the blender with some honey and some salt. She was like, you wait. You didn't give me any measurements, any nothing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I walked her through a dressing and she made it. And she was like, wow, this is really good. I'm gonna tell everybody, like, my daughter's a chef.
You're like, yes, Mom, I've been a chef, but thank you now that I've helped you make dressings. So amazing.
Like, yeah, man. And, you know, I don't have to buy salad dressing anymore. I know how to make it now.
That is amazing.
Oh, that was great. It's the little moments. Because she always makes fun of me. Like, Tchnavia, you know they sell that, right? I'm like, I know, but it's so much better if you make it. And she's like, yeah, but they sell pasta in the store. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not this.
Right.
It's not this one. Like, along your path, you will come across gem places to work, and those are the ones that stick out the most to you.
Well, you are a gem.
Aww.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And we're so thrilled that we got to spend some time with you.
Oh,
And it's very grateful, very grateful.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. This is great. And asking and talking to me and getting my story and everything. Sweet potato chips. Purple but crispy. So I learned over the years that when you're frying, you're taking the moisture out of it. So all the little bubbles, it's the moisture escaping. So the less moisture you have, the less bubbles you'll see. My aunt that raised me, this was the spoon in the house. Like the distinct, that's on Daisy's spoon, makes tea with it. One year I went up and I saw it and it just brought back all the memories. And I was like, my grandma was there. I was like, Grandma, I wonder if Aunt Daisy would let me have this spoon. And she was like, just take it. No, made the aggro do. You don't want the strawberries to stay in it though, because then they'll break down too far, and you don't want soggy strawberries. That's not delicious.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Bam.
Oh man, ready?
So crisp.
Wow, dude. It's so good.
Oh, you're welcome. I did something right.
You do a lot of things right. Oh my gosh.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Very important to get all of the ingredients on one
Yeah.
bite. It makes a huge difference in how you experience it.
Right. Won't be as balanced.
Mm. Try not to talk with my mouth full. It's like not squishy, but kind of squishy, and then crispy with the crunch of the chip, and then it is sauce, even though it's like lighter. Is it sauce?
Yeah.
Okay.
All sauce.
Okay, good. But yeah, like that just like brings everything together, and then the strawberries kind of like cool it down. Oh my gosh, you guys! Like, just like you said, like there's so much, but it's not like crazy. It's not like, oh, it's so complicated. It's very simple ingredients, but like brought together in such a unique way.
I wouldn't think the combination of these things would taste the way it tastes, but it's like so good. And then I can feel like a little bit of that like kick that kind of kicks in there, which is nice. Yeah. And it almost like lights the taste buds up, so everything else kind of tastes better because of it. So, yeah, super dope.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
How dope?
Super dope.
Super dope.
Super dope.